Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here with another Falconry video. Today's video I'm really excited about because today we're going to be talking about New World Hawk Eagles, something there's very little information about online, something that I've done a deep dive to do as much research as I could into these species and really find out more about them. I want this information out there to the general public so that anybody who wants to can find the information about them. Before we jump in though, if you could hit subscribe, it helps me keep this channel up and going, and also if you're more interested in falconry or want to learn how to become a falconer, my recent copy of my book is out. It's called Trapping Essentials. You can find it on Western Sporting Publications. You can buy a copy there, and basically it gives the how does one acquire a raptor from the wild. If you're a bird bander trying to trap and band migrating birds, if you're a falconer, if you're a wildlife biologist, how do you do it? I wrote this how-to book and illustrated it to teach people how to do that. So again, you can find that at Western Sporting Publications if you're interested in that. But this video, we're talking about New World Hawk Eagles. Now that is the New World Hawk Eagles. It's the genus Spizaetus. The Spizaetus is New World Hawk Eagles. They used to be classified in the same as the Old World Hawk Eagles, and now they're divided up. Spizaetus is the New World Hawk Eagles. There's 4 of them, and Nisaetus is the Old World Hawk Eagles, of which there are 10 of them. Now let me know if you want me to do a video on the Old World Hawk Eagles as well. That's going to be a lot of work to do. This one was a lot of work to do. And the Old World Hawk Eagles are an interesting conglomerate. When you look at these birds, it's easy to see why they used to be lumped together. Their size, they have booted legs, which means the tarsi are feathered. They all have some sort of crest from long to short. And they look very similar. It's understandable that people thought the Old World and New World Hawk Eagles were closely related. Turns out they're not. Genetics don't lie. When we study through genetics, we can get the true scoop on how closely related species are and roughly when they diverged off from each other. So it turns out the Old World Hawk Eagles are more closely related to the Indian black eagle, which is a very odd and unique species in and of itself. It's got the inner on the toes, the inner talons are more straight. They're longer and more straight, and the birds use those to go and capture full bird nests. They'll carry a nest away with the occupants, and we believe that's why they have those longer, straighter talons on the inner talons, the Indian black eagle. But genetics are always finding out new information. But as it stands right now, the molecular DNA seems to indicate that the New World Hawk Eagles, the 4 of them, and the 10 Old World Hawk Eagles are they're paraphyletic, which means that basically if a tree branches off and then later on those 2 branches become this whole tree and this whole tree, then they have a common ancestor, but they branched off so far along that they're almost like 2 separate trees, sister lineages, if you will. And so they look alike, the Old World and the New World, but they are very different, genetically speaking. So the genetics indicate that these 2 lineages separated during the Pliocene, which is about 5.3 to 2.5 million years ago. So nothing compared to the dinosaurs, but that's still pretty far back that they branched off from each other. So even though they look similar, we believe that this is because of convergent evolution. Convergent evolution is where 2 not closely related species develop similar physical attributes due to a similar way of life. A real easy example to point out to people is owls. Owls are not at all closely related to other birds of prey, but yet they have a sharp hooked beak that they use to tear apart food, and they have talons that have ratcheting, locking ligaments. They can lock in when they attack prey, just like hawks and eagles and falcons do. But again, they're not closely related. It's just you use it in the same way, it develops and adjusts in the same way. So again, the New World Hawk Eagles are what we're talking about today. Now, we know from the fossil records, surprisingly, that there's at least 5 species represented. Normally, bird bones don't last. So if you find any bird fossil, it's rare. And again, surprisingly, in the New World, fossils from these New World hawk eagles are surprisingly common. And what they show us is that they used to be even bigger and more robust than they are now, particularly the tarsi. The tarsi are the last major bone on the leg before you reach the proper foot. Now that last bone, that tarsi bone, beneath it has the ligaments, and the leg muscles are what grip and give all the pressure for a raptor to kill with. So that the longer that tarsi, the longer those ligaments, a lot of times longer the grip. But once you grip onto prey, the prey is going to struggle. So depending on what you are hunting, having a stronger, thicker tarsi is very good. Now, for comparison, I've had a chance to look at a lot of bones of birds, both modern and ancient. And peregrine falcons, the tarsi on peregrine falcons, which I've held, compared to a comparable sized bird, like a male red-tailed hawk. Female peregrine falcon, male red-tailed hawk, that tarsi is roughly the same. On the peregrine falcon, it's much denser. And we know that because whereas a red-tailed hawk will just grab prey and just grab it, peregrine falcons will dive going hundreds of miles an hour and will hit the prey with that kind of speed. They'll graze it with their talons, but the tarsi absorb all of that energy. And so having a thicker tarsi in that instance is a good thing. But again, the denser your bones as a bird, the harder it is to fly. So you want your bones to be as lightweight as possible, but as an avian predator, you want them to be as structurally sound as possible as well. So what we know are from these 5 species in the fossil record of now extinct, but closely related to our current New World hawk eagles. We know they had thicker tarsi. They were bigger overall, they were more robust, and they were more powerful hunters. We don't know if that was because of what they were hunting, but all we can do is look at the fossil record and interpret it with the information we have. So this indicates that since that time period, that there have been selective pressures that have been making them smaller. So as time has gone on, the prey they've been hunting, the environments they've had, or maybe larger predators that predated on these hawk eagles have gone extinct, and so it's been safer for they themselves to get smaller as well. We don't know, we just know the selective pressures have made New World hawk eagles a bit smaller and smaller over the eons. Now there are 4 species recognized currently of New World hawk eagles. The first one is the black and white hawk eagle. Then the black hawk eagle, which is also called the Tyrant Hawk Eagle. The Ornate Hawk Eagle, which is just incredible, beautiful, decadent looking bird. And the last one is the Isidor's eagle, which is also called the black-and-chestnut eagle. I'll get more into the name in a minute. And he's like, why isn't it called a hawk eagle? Well, it is a hawk eagle, the size of an eagle, and so it's gotten the name the Isidor's eagle or the black-and-chestnut eagle. Now, I'll get more into why its name is a little different in a bit. These 4 species have ranges that overlap. They live throughout the neotropical New World, and some of them live very high in elevation. But the ranges cross, and so do their sizes too. The black and white hawk eagle lives from 0 feet, from sea level, up to 5,000 feet. It's a pretty respectable range there. The black hawk eagle lives from sea level, or 0 feet, to 6,000 feet. So they're getting a little higher up, and their population is denser at the higher end of that. So in other words, the 3,000 to 6,000 foot range is where you're going to find more of them, but they will range all the way down to sea level. The ornate hawk eagle lives from sea level to 5,400 feet. So again, another bird where you're kind of having some overlap there in the range. And the last one, the Isidor's eagle, is much higher in elevation. It lives from 1,350 feet to 10,500 feet. That's properly high. I the mountains right outside, the Rocky Mountains right outside my door, where I live here in northern Utah, they're in that. They're in the 10 to 12,000 foot range. So that's in my local range. That's getting up into the above the timber zone where there's no longer even trees. So the Isidor's eagle likes it much higher in elevation. So it's good to kind of visualize where each of these species lives within these ranges. And again, the fact that they overlap indicates slightly different prey bases. They don't directly compete with each other as far as food sources. They overlap in their food sources and they overlap in their range. But as you'll see when we talk about each of these birds, when I go through size by size, you'll see, they're just getting a little bigger, a little bigger, a little bigger, and that's going to alter what they hunt and how they live. The black and white hawk eagle is a very striking looking bird. Now on the conservation list, it's listed as a species of least concern currently, but its numbers are still in question. It lives throughout southeastern Mexico, Central America, and South America, and the population estimates currently are from 20,000 individuals to 50,000 individuals. This species lives at an elevation from 0 to 5,000 feet, which is getting some proper height there. And again, this is a neotropical bird, so it's dealing with temperatures that are quite hot and quite humid. Of all the New World hawk eagles, the black and white hawk eagle is the smallest. In fact, female typically only weighs about 850 grams. That's like the size of a red-tailed hawk, and not even a big red-tailed hawk. When you say hawk eagle, you're picturing enormous. This is a large bird, but it came from much larger lineages. This bird is booted, like all true hawk eagles, which means it has feathers going all the way down its legs, just like a golden eagle. And it is a distant cousin of golden eagles as well. This has a wingspan of 53 inches, which is about 4 feet, 4 inches. So it's got a pretty sizable wingspan. So that would be, again, even bigger. Even though it's maybe the size of a red-tailed hawk, the wingspan is on average a fair amount bigger than a red-tailed hawk would be. It forms a sister clade with the other Spizaetus species. Again, the Spizaetus is going to be this bird, the black and white hawk eagle, the black hawk eagle, the ornate hawk eagle, and the Isidor's eagle. It forms a sister clade with those other three. However, the black and white hawk eagle is the furthest branch off. In other words, of those 4 birds, it branched off earliest of the other 3 and went off and did its thing. And it shows visually. This bird looks quite a bit different. It's very pale. It's very white. The eyes are, has these big dark eyes and these dark patches around the eyes. It's almost completely white, but it has a crest. And to see it from above, you can see it. It's these little black feathers, this little boop, 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 kind of a cysty version of a crest compared to the other hawk eagles. But nevertheless, it is a crest and it is still there. It is present. This species is proportionately the largest, most broad-winged of all the Spizaetus genus. So in other words, of all the New World hawk eagles, for its size and weight, it has the broadest wings. All of these New World hawk eagles can soar, but the black and white hawk eagle is most built for it. All of the New World hawk eagles like dense forest, but this likes it least dense of all, even though it still likes it dense. It lives in the dense, humid lowland forests. It's not usually seen above 4,000 feet. It will sometimes hunt in the South American savannas, but for the most part, it likes those more dense, humid forests. It will hunt from a soar, and that's usually where it is seen, which is a little different than the other hawk eagles of the New World. So in other words, it will dive in through the canopy, which takes tremendous reactionary time. The ability to fly above a canopy of trees, look down in it, see prey, and be able to dive through without hitting a branch or crashing is pretty impressive. So again, they have those broader wings for a hawk eagle to be able to do that, but they have incredible incredible response time. Now, compared to the other hawk eagles, this bird is incredibly pale. One of the beliefs why that is because it likes to soar in the open. Where most of the other hawk eagles are more prone to be flying beneath the canopy or just be still hawking in the canopy, looking through the branches at what you're going after, so shadows are beneficial. This bird is more prone to fly out in the open. So if you're in the open, if you are a prey species and you are under the canopy, that means your pupils have enlarged to be able to let more light in so you can see. So if you look up at the sky through the canopy, the sky doesn't look blue, the sky looks white, piercingly white. It's bright, it's hard to look at the sun. So if you have a piercingly white hawk eagle, that's going to appear the same color. So that is the reason why the black and white hawk eagle is so pale compared to all the other hawk eagle species in the New World, because it is primarily a soar hawker, but then will just shoot and dive in through the trees. It's pretty interesting. They hunt a wide range of mammals, such as squirrels, really big, giant red-tailed squirrels, and opossums. They hunt a wide range of opossums as well. They also hunt a large number of tropical birds. They hunt toads and lizards and snakes. They do not do well with fragmentation of habitat. So some birds do. If you have birds like a red-tailed hawk, which we have here locally in my area, red-tailed hawks, same thing with our Swainson's hawks. Anywhere there's a little skiff of land, they'll go there and they'll go hunt. They'll find whatever rodents or whatever insects are there, and then they'll just fly over the neighborhoods and fly over the big old huge buildings to the next little tiny patch of open land and hunt it. These black and white hawk eagles do not do well with that. They kind of need uninterrupted habitat, and they tend to disappear if it gets interrupted. Having researched this, it sounds very similar to locally how it is with our ferruginous hawks in North America. Ferruginous hawks are larger than red-tailed hawks, but they do not adapt well like the red-tails do. If you fragment up, if you have a bunch of farmland and they're on and you put like a house in the middle of that farmland, they're out of there. They're gone. They do not like it. Ferruginous hawks do not adapt well to habitat disruption, and neither do black and white hawk eagles. This is a species that the nesting details are incredibly scarce. For being pretty common in the numbers and being conservation listed as a species of least concern, it's kind of surprising that we have so little nesting information on them. We do know that, strangely, the juveniles pretty much look like the adults. This is not normal with any raptor species, and especially not with the hawk eagles. If you look at the other New World hawk eagles, the other neotropical hawk eagles, the juveniles look very different. And for most hawk eagles, it takes 4 or 5 years to reach your adult colors. Not so with the black and white hawk eagle. It pretty much has these pale colors in the beginning. It is true that on the juveniles there's pale ands on the upper wing coverts. It's a little bit different. There's some grayish feathers on the back that are a little more grayish in the juveniles. Kind of strange. But again, the assumption is that why this is because they rely on their ability to blend in with the sky for a prey animal looking up through the canopy and having to squint, and they're looking up. They need to be that pale to begin with in order to be able to successfully hunt from a soar and then diving in through that dense, humid, neotropical canopy. So it's a rare instance where first-year birds and adults are pretty much the same color. Now, this coloration is interesting because it very closely looks similar to a species called a black-faced hawk. Now, black-faced hawk is much smaller, incredibly smaller. And the thinking is that probably the black-faced hawk, being smaller, had developed its colors through convergent evolution to try to mimic the larger black and white hawk eagle. So from a distance, you see that, you're like, oh, I'm not going to mess with it. And they have very similar coloration patterns. We have the same thing happen also with the gray-bellied hawk. The gray-bellied hawk is, a pretty standard-sized hawk. But as a juvenile, as a first-year bird, its colorations look insanely close to that of the much larger adult ornate hawk eagle. So if you look at the colors of an ornate hawk eagle, they're pretty distinct. And an ornate hawk eagle is a powerful bird that's a force to be reckoned with. And so if you're a gray-bellied hawk and your first-year birds look like this much larger, more powerful raptor species, then hey, you're less likely to be messed with. So that's what we think is also going on with the black-faced hawk, is that it is trying to mimic the much larger black and white hawk eagle. We have this kind of thing happen in nature. The black and white hawk eagle is a beautiful and incredible species, and but again, the smallest member of all the New World hawk eagles. The black hawk eagle is one of the coolest New World raptor species there are. It's sometimes also called the Tyrant Hawk Eagle, and its scientific name is Spizaetus tyrannus, which Tyrannus, of course in your brain you're thinking Tyrannosaurus Rex, or if you're a Star Wars fan, there's Darth Tyrannus. So it's a cool, kind of epic, stoic sounding name. Now, I really like this species. Black hawk eagles, or tyrant hawk eagles, are currently on the conservation species list. They're currently classed as a species of least concern, which means even though they're highly protected, they are a species that currently is not viewed as being in threat of being extinct. However, their numbers do seem to be in decline. That it has been noted by biologists. They live throughout southeastern Mexico, Central America, and South America. The population estimates currently of this magnificent species are from 50,000 to about 499,000. So it's pretty sizable range there. They typically, their elevation where they're found at is anywhere from sea level up to about 6,000 feet in elevation. So that's a broad range. It is noted that they want dense, humid, tropical space. And the higher you get is more where you find them. So even though they go all the way down to sea level, your population density goes up the higher you get, as the higher density populations are able to do better to actually feed this population. The wings of this species are proportionately much shorter and much broader than any other of the Spizaetus genus, which is any other of the New World hawk eagles. Now, the rule typically with birds is if you have a long tail and if you have short, broad, rounded wings, you are a bird that is able to be extremely agile. If you want shorter wings to be able to dodge branches, but you got to have them broad so they can still provide enough lift, but you need a really long tail to be able to adjust, because if you're going in between two tree branches and you have to pull your wings in, you're going to drop, so you have to flare out your tail to be able to not lose the lift, and then that tail, as you go through those tree branches, can fold in and fold back out. So basically, the black hawk eagle is built, its wings and tail are built very similar to the same as a goshawk. Goshawks, especially northern goshawks, are currently under some reclassification, but a northern goshawk in the traditional sense is a northern cool weather climb bird that is built to dive through trees going a bajillion miles an hour, and it's scary enough to be able to fly through trees, but to be able to do so trying to catch prey that is trying to evade you is incredible. Goshawks do it wonderfully, and so does the black hawk eagle. And again, when I did research and digging in, the size and shape of these wings are very similar to like a big, large Finnish goshawk, for example, with these big old broad wings that are short but broad, gets them around. This species lives and hunts in dense, lowland, humid forests. It likes the humidity, and it is built for the shadows. In other videos, talking about the black and white hawk eagle, the black and white hawk eagle, very close cousin, but very pale, and hunts from above, from a dive, and dives through the trees. Not this bird. The black hawk eagle, or the tyrant hawk eagle, is a species that lives for the shadows, and you can see by the coloration of the adults. This species is very, very closely related to the ornate hawk eagle. It's similar in appearance and behavior to the ornate hawk eagle, but the ornate rules the lower elevations. So even though ornate hawk eagles and black hawk eagles kind of overlap in their range, the black hawk eagle has the higher range that it rules over, even though they overlap. So this species, it is able to hunt in ways that, if you have not seen before, would really kind of blow your mind. The way they're able to adapt and tack and go back and forth and dodge things is pretty incredible. And they use that to hunt a very diverse range of prey. The rule in nature is the more specialized you are, the more likely you are to go extinct. The more diverse you are in both your build and how you live and how you hunt, the more able you are to adapt to change and be able to survive and thrive in all kinds of circumstances. The Black Hawk Eagle has done this. The Black Hawk Eagle hunts an incredibly diverse range of prey. It will hunt pacas, which are like a weird giant rodent thing. It will hunt red-tailed squirrels, which are enormous. It will hunt Andean guan, which are a type of ground bird. It will hunt chachalacas, which are a relative of turkeys and quite sizable. It will hunt squirrel monkeys. It hunts tufted capuchins, which are an even bigger type of monkey. It hunts marmosets, which are a little type of monkey. Now, by the way, if you just say, they hunt monkeys, well, all of these monkeys live in very different ways. They survive in very different ways. And being able to hunt all of these shows a lot of variety. They hunt chionids, which is strange. Chionids are members of the raccoon family. So specifically, the chionids that will hunt are kinkajous and also quadrimundis, which that's interesting. This is a predatory bird hunting predatory animals like kinkajous and quadrimundis. That, again, shows a very diverse approach to its hunting style. It is also fast enough that it will hunt other species of birds. It will hunt, it's been known to hunt something very small and agile, which is a bird called the social flycatcher. And it hunts toucans. It's kind of wild. Think about Toucan Sam from the cereal, right? Well, the real toucans, they actually will hunt and eat. However, kind of on the upper end of what they hunt that I'm most impressed by, they will hunt macaws, which I've kept macaws, many species of macaws. The bite force on a macaw is incredible. And if you grab a macaw, it's going to turn around and try to bite your leg off. So the fact that they are willing to actively and regularly hunt macaws is very impressive. And they will hunt howler monkeys. Now, howler monkeys weigh 15 to 22 pounds. Which is insane, because here's a bird that weighs up to 1,300 grams. That's not very much. You know, that's like a big red-tailed hawk, right? 1,300 grams, and you're hunting howler monkeys that weigh up to 22 pounds. And again, primates like a howler monkey can turn around and really cause a lot of damage. So it's kind of interesting that they have that ability. Now, they will also hunt iguanas, which iguanas don't put up too much fight, but that's a big, powerful lizard, heavy lizard as well. And they are known to hunt snakes, but not as commonly as some of the other hawk eagles. Again, they're mostly going after a weird, strange array of mammals and birds, and that's mostly what, and primates. That's mostly what they're going after. This is a generalist hunter that's going to go after this incredibly wide range. There's not much known about their nesting habit, but both in wild and captive bred, they seem to only lay one egg. And they typically only lay one egg like every other year, maybe. Sometimes they'll lay them every year, sometimes every other year. Normally, the bigger a predatory bird is, then the less often they will breed. Because if you are big, you are going to require more prey to hunt, and your offspring is going to be your replacement, and you don't want to be replacing yourself too fast. If you have too much offspring, then there's not enough food to go around. So that's what we always see. Same thing, like golden eagles will usually only have one or two chicks, and usually only one survives to adulthood. That's pretty normal with bigger birds. So even though the black hawk eagle is a species that is kind of red-tailed hawk-sized, it rules and dominates its territory with such precision that it has benefited it to only lay one egg, so that you don't replace yourself. So in other words, that also would indicate that most birds that survive to adulthood, that adulthood is lasting longer than other species. Because if you live fast and you die young, you get replaced, you got to keep having offspring. But if you're going to live and rule your range longer, you gotta hang on to that longer. These birds are really beautiful. The young birds are pale. They start off with these kind of pale stripy colors that are somewhat reminiscent of their very close cousin, the Ornate Hawk Eagle. Ornate Hawk Eagles as well, when they're young, they have these juvenile colors, same thing. But the Black Hawk Eagle, over 5 years, slowly goes through new color molts. It goes color morphs every single year. It gets a new set of feathers until finally at adulthood at about 5 years old, it turns this beautiful black colors that are just absolutely breathtaking, strikingly beautiful. They have the dark crest. They have booted feathers going all the way down the legs, and you see some modeling and a little bit of striping on those legs, but for the most part, they're black, and they have beautiful black and dark gray barred tails that are just so beautiful. I love these. These, they're not, the Ornate Hawk Eagle is the star of the show normally when it comes to New World Hawk Eagles. Everybody, oh, the Ornate Hawk Eagle. But the Tyrant Hawk Eagle, or the Black Hawk Eagle this video is about, is pretty impressive. I've just fallen in love with him when I've been studying this species. So I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about them, because I certainly have enjoyed studying them as well. The Ornate Hawk Eagle is arguably the most strikingly colored and marked hawk eagle of any type in the world. Now, in the New World, we only have the 4 hawk eagles. We have the black and white hawk eagle, we have the black hawk eagle, we have the ornate hawk eagle, and we have the Isidor's eagle. In the Old World, there's 10 other, species of hawk eagles. It's wild. But none of them are as striking and as beautiful as the Ornate Hawk Eagle. Now, the conservation status of this species currently is near threatened. However, of all the hawk eagles in the New World, this is the most adaptable. So much so that depending on which ornithologist you're talking to, there's 2 or 3 recognized subspecies. And it is able to adapt to a wide range of environments and a wide range of prey species. This species lives in southern Mexico, Central America, and South America. The current estimates for the population are from 50,000 to 500,000, which is pretty good for considering the range. The elevation that this species likes to live at is from 0 to about 5,400 feet. So you're going from sea level, and then the higher up you get, it gets a little bit denser. And the wingspan of this species is, first about the weight. The weight of this species is substantially larger than either the black and white hawk eagle or the black hawk eagle of the New World. And that is, it weighs about 1,452 grams. The wingspan is about 56 inches, which is about 4 foot 8 inches. So it's sizable. It prefers deep lowlands from sea level of about 4,900 feet, and it overlaps with the black hawk eagle. But the black hawk eagle will range up a little higher. And again, those range overlaps, but they don't seem to bother each other. They don't seem to kind of mess with each other. The interesting thing about that is that all of these species, including, there's other not closely related species like the harpy eagle and the Guyana crested eagle that also overlap in the range with the ornate hawk eagle, they don't seem to mess with each other much. They don't seem to bother each other. They seem to have kind of their own overlapping niche, but they all seem to kind of do their own thing. And that's kind of surprising among predators. They prefer dense primal forests and tracts of unbroken, humid habitat. They do also go out into open and more arid areas, but they prefer it more humid. They're very adaptable, and they have the largest range of all the 9 species of eagles endemic to the neotropics of the Americas. So in other words, they're doing good. They're doing something right because they've branched out to as wide of a range as possible, and because they have adapted to the widest range of prey. So that's good. So the rule of nature is adapt or go extinct, and the more adaptable you are, the more range you will be able to conquer and rule over as a top predator in your area. They mostly hunt medium to large sized birds. They will hunt toucans, they'll hunt macaws, and they'll hunt chachalakas, which are a large cousin of the turkey. But they also hunt mammals and reptiles. But the interesting thing is they are more prone to target birds than other New World hawk eagles. And that overlap, again, some of the prey species they hunt does overlap with the other hawk eagles, but because they're more of a bird hunter, they've filled out kind of their niche that works well for them. Now, they are able to overpower their prey. They're the second largest of the hawk eagles in the New World, and their tarsi are very dense, very strong. They're able to grip with tremendous force, and that's really important. If you're hunting prey as large and dangerous as macaws, you have got to dispatch that prey incredibly quickly and overpower it. Otherwise, it's going to turn around, and with that powerful beak, it'll bite your toes, your feet clean off completely. I've raised macaws before. I've been bitten by them, and I've just about had my finger bit off before. And could have if they had have bitten all the way. So they're cracking powerful nuts. You have to be a powerful predator to be able to overpower and take a macaw quickly. The hunting style of this species is very similar to a goshawk. They're larger than a goshawk, but the hunting style is similar. So goshawks, again, have short, rounded wings and a long, broad tail. Now, having short, rounded wings, again, allows you to dive in and out of trees really quickly. And then if you're coming upon, like, here's a couple of trees and you have to just duck through really quick, you can pull open your wings and leave your tail spread out, and so that it'll prevent the drop. They're basically hunting like a goshawk, but a giant tropical goshawk. They nest every other year, and they only lay one egg, which, again, with large species of predators, this is an adaptation to not grow your own competition. So when you have offspring in an environment, you're passing on your DNA, and you're making sure that, you know, once you die, that your next of kin is going to kind of be there to take over that spot in nature. If you have too many offspring too quick, then they become competition. But if you have them not often enough, then other species are going to come in and take over that ecological niche. So we find with ornate hawk eagles, it does best for them to have one egg about every other year. Which is odd because, again, for a bird their size, if you get up into North America, you know, things like a ferruginous hawk or something like that, that's kind of comparable in size. You know, they have multiple young every single year. But again, they're hunting specific prey that allow to have that kind of consumption. The juveniles start off pale and white. They look very similar to a juvenile harpy eagle. Just kind of interesting because there are smaller raptor species like the black hawk eagle. The juvenile form kind of looks like a juvenile ornate hawk eagle, and a juvenile hawk eagle looks very similar to a juvenile harpy eagle. So it's kind of, you always want to look like something bigger than you are in your juvenile form, because a juvenile bird is still learning. It doesn't have the hunting skills yet. It doesn't have the skills of evading a larger predator. And so if you yourself look like something bigger than you actually are, it's going to work in your benefit, and you're more likely to survive to adulthood. Now, we see a lot of mimicry going out throughout the neotropics, a lot of birds mimicking other birds. And this is very true and very famously true with ornate hawk eagles with this species called the gray-bellied hawk. The gray-bellied hawk, as an adult, you know, it's a gray hawk. It's a tropical gray hawk. It's not very big. But in its juvenile form, it looks strikingly similar to an ornate hawk eagle, like ridiculously so, almost comically so. It's like, how can this be? And now, one of the things, if you're ever looking at the two, even though the markings are the same, and a juvenile gray-bellied hawk looks like an adult ornate hawk eagle, but an adult ornate hawk eagle has a crest, and the juvenile gray-bellied hawk does not. Also, ornate hawk eagles, whether they're juvenile or adult, have booted legs. They have feathers going all the way down to their feet. Juvenile gray-bellied hawks do not. If you look at the legs, you can clearly see the feathering on the legs. They just have bare tarsi, just like any other regular hawk. But the ornate hawk eagles, I've worked with them a little bit. They're incredible birds. They're beautiful. They're powerful. They're stoic looking, and their coloration. I'm a painter. I'm an artist. They're one of my favorite species to draw and paint because they just look like some artist was showing off. Some artist was like, well, we're going to have a hawk eagle. What could we really do? What markings, what colorations, what can we do? Oh, we're going to make it orange here. We're going to make it striped here. We're going to make it spotted here. We're going to give it a big old huge honking crest that it can lift up and show off with. So again, a really beautiful bird, and I wish that people had more access to these, as you know, they breed fairly well in captivity. I haven't had a chance to fly one in falconry, but I hope that someday I might have that chance, because I think that would be incredible. The Isidor's eagle is one of my favorite species of eagles. It's actually a hawk eagle, and there's a lot of misnomer and misinformation about the name, but I'm listing it here and calling it the Isidor's eagle. This species lives in the Andean montane forests of South America, and it's ranging from 1,350 feet all the way up to 10,000 feet. But really kind of its favorite range to range in is about 5,900 feet to about 8,200 feet. That's where you find it in its most density. The species itself is considered endangered, and it might soon be listed as critically endangered. Now, this species I never cared about at all. I've been into birds my whole life, ever since I was a kid, back in the days before the internet in the 1900s, when I would get bird books. And in these bird books, there's a book that I really love, and there's an artist that I really love. His name is Trevor Boyer. He is a brilliant, incredible artist, and most of his paintings just captured my attention and just inspired me from a very young age. But not of this one. Don't take a look at this picture here. This is from that very book, and Trevor Boyer's painting of the Isidor's eagle rubbed me the wrong way. The posture of the bird, the crest looked weird, the coloration looked weird. It kind of like, it just kind of looked sort of weird to my sensibilities, my immature, misunderstanding sensibilities. So I didn't ever research much about it, and there wasn't much information out there about it anyways, as I found out trying to make this video, which is part of the reason why I made this video, so we could have this information more readily available. The truth is, this species, so it's called the Isidor's eagle, and all the books I read going way back called it the Isidor's eagle, which I thought, okay, well, we're kind of living in an interesting time now where it seems people get ticked off if there was any person of European descent who had a bird named after them. Nowadays, people are trying to change it. So now, if you see this bird listed anywhere, it's mostly called a black-and-chestnut eagle, which I hate that. It's this noble bird. It's one of the largest eagles in the New World, and it's like the mighty black-and-chestnut eagle, king of the Andes. It's like, what? And so I did a post recently about it and pointed out, I'm like, well, this is dumb. You know, it's the king of the Andes. Why not call it an Andean eagle? Isn't that better than a black-and-chestnut eagle? It's an eagle, and it's black-colored, and it's chestnut-colored. Let's call it a black-and-chestnut eagle. I call it an Andean eagle. It's the king of the Andes. And a very famous biologist saw my post and said, actually, I've got a book going back even further than your old books that I have. And in the earliest of days, he says it was listed as a black-and-chestnut eagle. And he said it actually makes sense because the Isidor's eagle is the king of what is currently taxonomically listed as Spizaetus, or the New World Hawk Eagles. So again, the 4 New World Hawk Eagles, from smallest to biggest, are the black and white hawk eagle, the black hawk eagle, also known as a Tyrant Hawk Eagle, the gorgeous Ornate Hawk Eagle, and then the black and chestnut eagle. So I'm like, okay, so all their original names are like, oh, it's black and white, it's black, it's ornate, it's black and chestnut. Okay, that kind of makes sense, but I still think the name is ridiculous. If you're not going to have it be an Isidor's eagle, I say common names are allowed to be shifted and changed. Call this thing the Andean eagle because it is the king of the New World Hawk Eagles. It dwarfs the others. It's infinitely bigger. Not all the other hawk eagles in the New World don't break 2,000 grams, like no more than 1,300 grams. This thing weighs 3,492 grams. These things are enormous. They're a proper sized eagle. They're a big, proper eagle. And they form a sister clade with all the other Spizaetus. So again, this, even though All the other hawk eagles in the New World have some sort of a crest. So does this. It's not enormous, but it does have a crest. And so basically, as we have unraveled the taxonomy, what we find with this bird is this is a species that branched off early on, but all the other hawk eagles they prefer much lower elevation, and they're hunting some very specific prey in very dense, very humid forests. And in those dense forests, being big is not good. If you're big, it's kind of hard to dodge trees. And so it's better to be smaller. Well, this bird conquered higher elevations where the trees are not nearly as dense, and so it did a lot better to get larger and to be able, therefore, being larger, to tackle a wider range of prey. So this species has a wingspan of 71 inches. So that's a 5 foot 11 inches. So basically, it's got a 6 foot wingspan. That's way larger than any other of the New World hawk eagles. It is considered to be the second largest of any neotropical eagle species. The only eagle bigger by weight and by wingspan is the harpy eagle in the New World. Of the New World tropical eagles. I'm not getting into like stellar sea eagles that range in the north. We're not talking about. We're talking about tropical jungle eagles of the New World. This is the second biggest. So this is a big, proper, solid eagle. The range of this species does cross over with the black-crested buzzard eagle. The black-crested buzzard eagle is also called the Chilean blue eagle. Now it's like, whoo. Got to sound more proper now. It's like the black-chested buzzard eagle is related to the variable hawk and the white-backed hawk and a whole range of species that I'll have other videos coming out on. But because they cross over, they technically do compete a little bit. They also cross range with the black solitary eagle in that kind of 6,600 foot above sea level range. So these are very different lineages. You know, you're looking at the Isidor's eagle that this video is about. You know, it came from the tropics and moved up. Whereas the black-chested buzzard eagle has always been in those high elevation ranges. And same thing, the black solitary eagle came from the black hawk lineage and just happened to eventually become the size of an eagle. So these are 3 different lineages coming from 3 different locations converging. They do overlap. They don't usually fight or tackle each other, but they do technically compete for some of their prey. So the prey that is hunted is a very, very odd range. And again, having a diverse range of prey is going to increase your chances of survival. So this species will hunt giant red-tailed squirrels. It will hunt opossums, of which there's a number in South America. It will hunt a wide range of species of monkeys. It will hunt stump-tailed porcupines. And it'll hunt a couple of species of predators in the raccoon family, namely the quadrimundi and also the kinkajou, which are both, it's kind of weird having an eagle hunting a predator. They'll hunt the Andean guan, which is a distant relative of chickens, or sorry, turkeys, not chickens. Those are different. But they will hunt chickens as well. And that's one of the problems with persecution is sometimes if people have chickens out on their farm and this species is out soaring around and hey, there's chickens, that's easy, that's good eating, and chickens are not wired to be able to evade predators as well as other native species. And so sometimes this is called the chicken eagle by locals, which is kind of unfortunate because this species is very endangered and does need our protection or help. Now, even though it's a large eagle, and that might give you a sense of, okay, you're kind of slow and then you dive and you're fast. And yet, this species has been documented to regularly hunt band-tailed pigeons, which anything that can outrace and outdive and outmaneuver a band-tailed pigeon is a species that has a lot of ability, a lot of agility and a lot of ability. Now, this species, one of the very strange things about it is that it lays 2 eggs. And I'll tell you why that is rare. Usually, the larger a bird gets, the fewer eggs it will lay, and the less often. So some of the smaller species of hawk eagles will only lay 1 egg. Like ornate hawk eagles, which are smaller than them, only lay 1 egg. So it's strange that here's a bigger eagle, and it will lay 2 eggs, and it will raise them both to adulthood. Why is that? Well, because the more competition you have, okay, if you have a food source that is reliable and that allows you to live longer, you don't need to be replaced as often. So if you are going to live fast and die young, you better have given birth or hatched your replacement to replace you. So this is a species that lives well enough that left to its own devices is able to have more young because the range where it lives is able to support it. Because it's so large, it doesn't have much competition. But unfortunately, this species is very endangered and does need our help. The young of this bird, they look very much like other members of the Spizaetus genus, which Spizaetus is, again, the New World hawk eagles. It looks very similar to them and vice versa. So, again, you have, are these younger birds that, you know, the smaller hawk eagles, like, for example, a black hawk eagle, the young birds, very pale. Are they trying to mimic the larger hawk eagles that are juvenile so that you won't mess with them? That could be the case. It's hard to know for sure, but we do know that among the hawk eagles, 3 of the 4 hawk eagles in the New World, including the Isidor's eagle, the young birds have a lot of pale colors that are very similar also to what a juvenile harp eagle looks like. And again, that might be a form of inactive defense to just prevent people from messing with you because they think you are bigger than you really are just at first glance. The Isidor's eagle is a beautiful bird. It's got the red, the chestnut on its chest, and the rest is very black. The crest is not as large as the Ornate Hawk Eagle or even the Black Hawk Eagle, but it's still there, and it's still cool looking. This is a bird that very little attention is given to, and it's kind of sad. It's hard to access. It's hard to see this bird, to get near it in the wild, as opposed to the other New World hawk eagles. Much easier to spot and see and get into their range. And conservation-wise, again, there might only be 1,400 of these left in the world, which is kind of sad. So it's important that we do what we can to preserve them and help them, and to help with both their habitat and laws to protect them, and that we understand that, hey, you know, if you have chickens out, these birds might go after them. They might eat them as an easy meal, and it's easy to look out for your livelihood and make sure, hey, I don't want my chickens getting killed, but we shouldn't kill the predators that were there before we are. So it's just kind of a different perspective on that. So this is now one of my favorite eagles now that I have researched it more. And again, my view, so again, it's been called the black-chestnut eagle. That's kind of currently what's the social norm. I grew up with it. The Isidor's eagle, all my old books call it an Isidor's eagle. Most bird people today are calling it a black-and-chestnut eagle. But again, I think the black-and-chestnut eagle should be called the Andean eagle, as it truly is the king of the Andes and the second biggest eagle in the neotropical New World. So I hope you enjoyed learning about this species and all the other hawk eagles in the New World. It was fascinating for me to dig deep and to learn more about them, and I wish we did learn more about them. And I hope that this video gets to people who can share their experiences and their stories, and that we can get more information out about these, because you don't know what you don't know, and how many species are out there that you're not even aware exist. It's fun to dig deep and learn about them. The only one of these 4 species that I've ever worked with in any way is I've worked a little bit with Ornate Hawk Eagles. Absolutely love them and hope to fly one someday as a falconry bird or an education bird. But they're all 4 of these hawk eagles are incredibly smart, they're incredibly agile, and they're incredibly beautiful. So hope you enjoyed learning about them. If you haven't already, if you hit subscribe to my channel, I very much appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments or want to collaborate on any videos, just email me at benwoodruffalconry@gmail.com. And if you watch this video all the way to the end, if you could say down in the comments, Tyrant Hawk Eagle, I'd appreciate that. Thank you so much, and as always, happy hawking.